Good evening, students. Very good evening to all of you. Good evening, Akruti. C. Akruti Dalmia, who is the faculty for today's session. And students, I welcome all of you to this LVRC, first class of, in fact, LVRC. That is the first lecture. And at the same time, I welcome, a warm welcome to you, Akruti Dalmia. Students, C. Akruti, as you all are aware, is a well-known name among you, and she has been teaching you long way, starting from chapter 1. In fact, I think she has touched all the chapters in previous classes, be it chapter 1, 2, 3, any chapter she can. She almost all the chapters she has covered. And students, you are aware that the objective of these classes, please understand the objective of these classes. The objective of these classes is quick revision of the entire course. The objective is quick revision of the entire course. And how the course would be covered in a short span of time. The method would be, students, madam would be covering through with the help of questions, and at the same time she would be covering, she would be making you understand the concepts where you are lagging behind. So please understand the objective of the LVRC. आप इसको अगर आप पूरा एडवांटेज उठाना चाहते हैं स्टूडेंट्स, ये मेरा एक बहुत बड़ा टिप है, आप इसको माइंड में रखना जरूर। अगर आप इसका कंप्लीट एडवांटेज उठाना चाहते हैं तो गोल्डन रूल है इसका, ये आपको फॉलो करना ही करना है कि आप पहले जो चैप्टर होना है नेक्स्ट लेक्चर, अगर अभी तो आज आप जैसे भी आए हैं, लेकिन जो आगे आने वाली क्लासेस हैं स्टूडेंट्स, उनमें ये गोल्डन रूल बना के रखना, तभी आपको इतना एडवांटेज होगा। बिलीव मी, आपके मार्क्स में 10-15% मिनिमम जंप करेंगे मेरी इसी बात से। आप जो भी चैप्टर होना है उसको पहले अच्छी तरह से स्टडी करके आओ, और मैं तो ये कहूंगा अच्छी तरह से तैयार करके आओ, बिकॉज एग्जाम भी आपका पास है, कोई ज्यादा दूर नहीं है। और आप अगर पहले उसे अच्छी तरह कवर करके आएंगे, उसमें कंसेप्चुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग करके आएंगे, तो आपको फिर क्वेश्चंस करने का मजा लगाएगा। सो टू हैव कंप्लीट अंडरस्टैंडिंग, कंप्लीट advantage, so that you are benefited by these classes, students, you need to have prior understanding, prior learning, prior, you see, gaining of knowledge of the entire chapter, which is going to be covered in your LVC class. So that's very very important tip in my opinion, students. तो ये एक बहुत बड़ी चीज होगी जो आप इसमें फायदा उठा सकते हैं, और बहुत बड़ा इसमें जो आपको एडवांटेज होगा वो लास्ट 10 मिनट्स में मैडम ने जो आप लाइव क्लास क्वेश्चंस, वैसे तो आप कभी भी थ्रू मैसेज कभी भी क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं, लेकिन लास्ट 10 मिनट्स ज्यादा इंटरेक्टिव होंगे जो मुझे मैडम ने बताया। तो स्टूडेंट्स, आप इन क्लासेस का, मैं चाहता हूं कि आप इन क्लासेस का पूरा फायदा उठाएं, ताकि आपकी तैयारी जो है, जो आपको एग्जामिनेशन लेवल प्रेपरेशंस है, तो वो वहां तक आप एक कंफर्टेबली आपकी स्मूथ सेलिंग हो सके। एम आई राइट, आकृति?
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
You want to add something?
That's only, sir, key for revision. I think in audit, the most common problem that students also bring and the common repeated doubt is that it does not retain, or मुझे याद नहीं रहा, या मुझे समझ आ गया but मैं लिख नहीं पाई. These are the common things that they say, and that is why revision becomes very important. There's this psychological concept called as spaced repetition. Spaced repetition is a proven technique that if you want to retain something for a longer period of time, then in good amount of intervals of at least 4 days to 5 days. You need to touch upon the subject. You need to ensure that your mind sees it oftenly so that it starts retaining in your head. And that is the purpose that you have to keep revising. So we'll touch a lot of these tips and tricks during the class, that how do you make your audit convert from understanding into writing into scoring. And that is the whole purpose. And that is what we are here to support all of you for.
ग्रेट स्टूडेंट्स, जो मैडम ने अभी बोला, 2 मिनट में बोला जो स्टूडेंट्स, दैट्स वेरी वेरी एसेंस ऑफ द थिंग। जो आपके एग्जामिनेशन, अगर आप बात ये वाली मान गए ना, ये वाली जो मैडम ने भी बोली है और जो मैं हमेशा से ही कहता हूं कि आप कितना भी रीड कर लो, रीडिंग इटसेल्फ वोंट मेक एनी डिफरेंस। खाली अगर आप रीड ही करते रहोगे बार बार तो उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला। आपको क्या, ये टिप भी मेरा, ये भी गोल्डन रूल है ऑडिटिंग के अंदर, जो भी ये मैं बता रहा हूं, जो भी मैडम ने भी एक्सप्लेन किया आपको। कोई भी टॉपिक आप अगर करते हो, कोई भी कंसेप्ट आप कर रहे हो, तो उसको कम से कम आप जो उस समय, उसी समय जब आप कर रहे हो, आफ्टर अंडरस्टैंडिंग, दैट इज व्हाट आफ्टर अंडरस्टैंडिंग, तो 5 टाइम्स आप मिनिमम रीड, ये मिनिमम है। और फर्स्ट टाइम अगर आप मेरी बात मानो तो आप 7 to 10 टाइम्स भी अगर रीड करोगे ना, तो वो आपके माइंड में स्टेब्लिश होगा। फर्स्ट डे वो ब्लर्ड इमेज करेगा, पूरा अच्छी तरह रिटेन नहीं होगा। और सेकंड डे अगर आप करते हो उसे, तो वो एक स्ट्रॉन्ग आपके माइंड में पकड़ करेगा, बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग पकड़ करेगा। और थर्ड फोर्थ डे, और मैं तो कहता हूं कि अभी आपके पास, अभी वी आर सिटिंग इन जुलाई जून, तो जुलाई अगस्त आपके पास अभी 2 महीने हैं। तो आप कुछ टॉपिक्स के साथ, जैसे मैं आपको बता रहा हूं, ऐसा करके देखो, तो आप 5 डेज तक अगर कर पाओ। अभी चलो एग्जाम इतना ज्यादा भी, आई शुड से कि अभी थोड़ा पास आ गया एग्जाम, बहुत ज्यादा मतलब दूर नहीं है। तो आप इसको 5 डेज के बजाय 3 डेज करके देखो। फर्स्ट डे आप उसको 5 टाइम्स रीडिंग करो, और फिर अनदर 2 डेज आप उसको 5 टाइम्स रीडिंग तो करना ही करना है, और मतलब टोटल 3 डेज तक स्प्रेड आप लेके चलो। तो आप देखोगे कि जो टॉपिक्स हैं, आपकी पकड़ मजबूत होगी, एग्जामिनेशन में आप कॉन्फिडेंटली लिख पाएंगे और आपका स्कोर बेहतर होगा। और स्टूडेंट्स, मैं तो ये कहता हूं कि जब भी आपको कोई भी डाउट हो किसी भी तरीके का प्रिपरेशन के अंदर, वैसे आप मुझे कॉल किया करो, मैं अपना नंबर हमेशा शेयर करता हूँ। आकृति मैडम भी मेरा नंबर शेयर कर देंगी, मैं एक बार रिपीट कर देता हूँ, 9466789298। आप मुझे कॉल ही कर लिया करो, डोंट व्हाट्सएप, बिकॉज व्हाट्सएप के मैसेजेस जो है मिस हो जाते हैं स्टूडेंट्स। आकृति, आप मेरा नंबर शेयर कर देना स्टूडेंट्स को। कभी भी कोई स्टूडेंट को कोई तैयारी से लेकर कोई भी डाउट है तो वो मेरे को कॉल कर सकते हैं। आकृति, आर यू देयर?
मैं आपका नंबर टाइप कर रही थी सर मैसेज बॉक्स
ओके,
पे।
नो प्रॉब्लम। तो स्टूडेंट्स, मैं ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लूंगा, बिकॉज चैप्टर 1 और 2 दोनों कवर करने हैं मैडम ने। मैंने जो आपको टिप्स दिए हैं वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, जो मैडम ने बात बोली मैंने और एक्सप्लेन करके आपको बताई। तो उस पे आप इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, और सबसे बड़ा जो मैं वेटेज देता हूँ, एक ही बात को देता हूँ, आप सुन सुन के, तो देखो सुनने की कोई लिमिटेशन नहीं है, आप जितना मर्जी आपको लोग गाइड भी कर रहे होंगे, बट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज कि आप जो बातें इंपॉर्टेंट हैं, जो टीचर बोलते हैं, अगर आप उसको इम्प्लीमेंट कर दोगे तो फिर रिजल्ट्स 4 टाइम्स हैं। और हमेशा एक, मैं लास्ट एक और बात कह के फिर मैं कंक्लूड करूंगा, बिकॉज टाइम एक लिमिटिंग फैक्टर है स्टूडेंट्स, कि आप इंजॉय करके जितना पढ़ेंगे उसके रिजल्ट 10 टाइम्स है। आप 1 घंटा अगर आप इंजॉय करके पढ़ रहे हो और 2 घंटे आप सैड उससे पढ़ रहे हो, तो 1 घंटे के आपको 10 घंटे का बेनिफिट मिलेगा। तो इसलिए इंजॉय करके हमेशा स्टडी करना, कोई भी सब्जेक्ट हो इंजॉय करके पढ़ो। तो थैंक यू वेरी मच स्टूडेंट्स, ओवर टू यू आकृति, यू कैन स्टार्ट योर लेक्चर।
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I'll share my screen, students. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to your first lecture of live virtual revisionary classes. I hope I am audible and the screen is properly visible to all of you. quickly let me know and we can start with our lecture. One important condition to start this lecture, no one should be lying down. अच्छे से बैठकर, keep upright, keep notebook, pen, book in your hand, keep water in your hand, and एकदम concentration से, with full enthusiasm, we are going to study our revisionary class. And we are going to study chapter number 1 and 2. And I know that all of you have already attended or studied the lecture or studied the book at least once. And now you are intending that how do we revise? How do we recall? Basically, recall value, hum jisko bolte hain, that we will be testing through question and answer. So let's get started. Okay. So chapter number 1, that is what we are going to start today. That is nature, objective, and scope of audit. This chapter is an introduction that you got for audit because you studied audit for the first time. And this chapter creates a foundation, creates a base, जिससे आप आगे की lectures और अच्छे से समझ पाते हैं. So this chapter becomes a very important base so that your other chapters' performance is better. Because if your chapter number 1 is weak, then chapter number 3 and chapter number 4 आप कितना भी पढ़ लो वो weak रहेगा. So in audit, it is like a chain, okay? It is like a chain reaction. Everything is tied to each other. It is not independent. So chapter number 1 weak है तो कमजोर कड़ी, chapter number 2 भी कमजोर कड़ी होगी. So please ensure that we focus and dedicate our time to chapters in equal measures because they create a good foundation. So chapter number 1, first let's start. And before we go on the question and answer, let me ask a very, very small question to all of you. So chapter number 1 में एक standard cover होता है जिसका नाम है Overall Objectives of Independent Auditor and Conduct of Audit in Accordance with Standards of Auditing. कोई मुझे बता सकता है कि ये कौन सा essay नंबर है? एकदम छोटी सी चीज से हम स्टार्ट करेंगे. Very good, आकाश ने करेक्ट आंसर दिया है. Anyone else would like to tell? Very good, Niruben. You have also given correct answer. Manas, very good. Essay number 200. Okay, perfect. So थोड़ा interaction इसी तरीके से बना के रखेंगे to ensure that it is not a one-sided lecture. So essay number 200 is primarily covered in this chapter, okay, which introduces us to two things. First, what is the objective of someone who is an auditor, but not just any auditor, who is an independent auditor. Each word has an importance, and that we will also revise that why and which words are keywords, and those keywords will help you write. Now, sir has told very important thing that why we need to revise. So I'll give you one small thing that before आप मुझसे ये क्वेश्चन पूछो मैं पहले ही ये क्लियर कर देती हूँ क्योंकि ये क्वेश्चन सबसे रिपीटेड क्वेश्चन है. मैम समझ में आ जाता है, लिखा नहीं जाता. वेरी सिंपल थिंग. लेट्स से आज सुबह मैंने टुडे मॉर्निंग आई रेड अ न्यूज़पेपर. लेट्स से टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया आई रेड. Times of India, suppose I was able to read 16 pages of Times of India. They had a lot of different articles in it. There was something about economics, there was something about health, science, sports, alag-alag topic pe there was a newspaper. I read the whole newspaper and I understood everything. When I read the newspaper, मुझे हर आर्टिकल समझ में आया. मुझे पता चला कि वो इकोनॉमिक्स में क्या बोलना चाह रहे हैं, वो रेपो रेट के बारे में क्या बोलना चाह रहे हैं. I understood everything. Now, let's say मानस आप मुझे बोलते हो मैम इकोनॉमिक्स पे जो आर्टिकल था अगर आपको सब समझ में आ गया है, write it down for us. Can I write it down? Just because I have read the newspaper and I have understood the newspaper, क्या मैं पूरा का पूरा आर्टिकल आपके सामने 5 मिनट या 5 मार्क्स के लिए रिप्रोड्यूस कर सकती हूँ? नो. सो अंडरस्टैंडिंग is not equal to ability to write. To be able to write, you need to read with the intention of reproduction. Means I am reading not to just understand it, I am reading it so that I can reproduce this point in the exam paper. Okay? So I'll tell you one small trick. Sablo, please remember this. This is 1, 3, 7, 21 revision rule. 1, 3, 7, 27. इसको एकदम दिमाग में बैठा लीजिए. Just make it completely absorbed in your mind. What does this mean? Whatever you have read today, revise it next day after 1 day. Then revise it again after 3 days. Then revise it again after 7 days. And then revise it again after 21 days. Means if you have read chapter 1 on 0 day, that is today, revise it tomorrow, then after 3 days, then after 7 days, and then after 21 days. This is minimum. And if you do this, this is based on the psychological concept called as spaced repetition. Spaced repetition matlab, it does not mean in the same day you see that thing 5 times. It means in the interval of 21 days, see that thing at least 4 to 5 times. Not on the same day. So if you use this revision rule, whatever you read today, revise once tomorrow, after 3 days, after 7 days, after 21 days. On for any theory subject, you can use this rule. And this will help you, stay with you, and guide you this small rule forever. 1, 3, 7, 21. 1, 3, 7, 21. Yaad rahega, everyone? Clear? So we are putting this aside that you can't write. Please don't tell me you can't write in exam. You have studied your whole schooling system. When you have studied in class and you have written that exam in boards and you have cleared it well. So all of us can read and all of us can memorize and all of us can write. Okay. So let's start with the first question. All clear, everyone? I can start with the first question now. ठीक है? Perfect. Very good. Question number 1 पे आते हैं. Mini and Associates Chartered Accountants were appointed as the auditor of Sin Limited, a construction company. During the audit, CA Mini, a partner of the firm, noticed the following. The company has several ongoing projects, but only selected project revenue has been reported. पहले तो ये बताओ, question पढ़ते ही you tell me, is this right or wrong? Is this right or wrong? Quickly tell me. ये तो बढ़े उससे पहले यही बता दो. Selective revenue दिखा सकते हैं? Can you show selective revenue? No. So this itself I know is not correct. Okay. Several expense vouchers are either missing or are handwritten and lack proper authorization. Is this correct? This is also not correct. Why? Because then your vouchers are not reliable. Okay. Then the company has changed its depreciation method from straight line method, SLM, to which method? Written down value, that is WDV method, without adequate disclosure in the financial statement. What is this called as? This is called as change in accounting policy. Policy में बदलाव करना. First tell me, can a company change its accounting policy? पहले तो ये बताओ, क्या ये allowed accounting policy change करना? अगर मुझे depreciation method, if I have to change from SLM method to WDV method, firstly, is this okay? Can change. Very good, Aishal. But if I change, what is my responsibility? If I change, what is my responsibility? To tell to everyone that I have changed. Change करो ठीक है, पर सबको बताओ कि भाई मैंने बदला है. तो पिछले साल के डेप्रिसिएशन में और इस साल के डेप्रिसिएशन में जो आप डिफरेंस देख रहे हो, वो सिर्फ ऐसा नहीं है कि वैल्यू के वजह से है, but it can also be due to the change in method. So that is why disclosure is important. You change, but you should disclose why you have changed. These matters were brought to the attention of the management. However, management argued that these issues fall outside the auditor's scope of responsibility. whether the contention of the management is correct. Now, जब एग्जाम में, if in exam you get a question like this where the question is asking you to give an opinion. The question is asking you to give an opinion. So your questions can be majorly of two types. One is direct and another is indirect. Direct question कैसा होता है? What is the scope of audit? What is covered in the scope of audit? Is this answer readily available in the book? Yes, answer is readily available. Question is direct, answer is direct. Now, what is an indirect question? What happens in an indirect question? There is a small case or a situation given. And it asks what to do. But does it mean that आपको पूरा आंसर खुद ड्राफ्ट करना है, खुद से मन से लिखना है पूरा आंसर? No. The question is indirect, which means you have to use application of mind to identify which answer is suited. यानी कि इसमें भी स्कोप का ही आंसर लिखना है. Actually, in this question also you have to write about scope only. But the question is not direct. Question is not directly asking what is covered. Question is giving you a situation. It is asking you what to do. Here you have to apply your mind to identify कि हाँ ये तो scope का question है. Understood? So that is why understanding is also important. So आपको answer you should know also what to write, but you should also understand that in this question which answer to write. And that identification is also a test that is taken during your exams. That can students apply their mind? Can they connect the question with the answer? So you will see these two type of questions majorly in intermediate audit. Direct questions, which are directly asking, so you don't have to apply your mind too much. They are just trying to see whether you have learned properly or not. But when there are indirect questions, they will ask that whether you can connect the question with the answer. So this is very important. तो question देखते ही पहले तो ये हमें आइडेंटिफाई करना है कि इसका ये कौन से आंसर मांग रहा है हमसे. So simple है. इसमें क्या पता चला? What is the question? That management is arguing that these issues fall outside the auditor's scope. Whether this is correct. अब ये correct है कि नहीं? Whether this is correct or not, for that you have to first tell what is scope and what is not scope. And that is why you have to tell what is scope. So the answer will come very clearly that what is included in the scope. Okay? What does scope say? You have to cover all aspects of an entity. यहाँ पे जो word I am underlining, please remember you have to write that. Audit should be organized adequately to cover all aspects that are relevant to financial statements. Anything that is relevant for the financial statements. Is revenue relevant? Is revenue relevant to financial statements? Of course, it's one of the most important things. Income revenue is one of the most important things. So is it relevant? Yes. So it should be covered as per the scope. Then reliability and sufficiency. What happened in vouchers? These vouchers either are missing or they are handwritten. Handwritten vouchers, anyone can change, anyone can manipulate. It is not system generated. It means it does not even have proper seal and signature. So what will happen? They are not reliable. So auditors should be reasonably satisfied that information contained in underlying accounting records. Remember this, and other source data. Please remember. यहाँ पे I see students making one very important mistake. They say information as per accounting records. अब accounting records में तो P&L आ गया, तुम्हारी journal आ गई, लेजर आ गया. इफ रेंट एग्रीमेंट में कोई मिस्टेक है, तो अगर रेंट एग्रीमेंट रिलायबल नहीं है, वाउचर रिलायबल नहीं है, वो अकाउंटिंग रिकॉर्ड्स हैं प्लस दे आर अदर इंफॉर्मेशन. मिनट्स बुक, okay, minutes book also an auditor can see. So never write that audit information should be satisfactory only in accounting records. It should also be satisfactory and reliable in other source data like bills, vouchers, documents. They should be reliable and they should be sufficient. The auditor has to make a judgment on reliability and sufficiency by doing various tests. So, test you have studied in chapter number 3 also, when I will revise with you. I'll tell you all the tests we can do: test of control, compliance procedure, substantive procedure, all that we will check during chapter number 3 and 4. So, by carrying out appropriate test inquiries. What is the third again point क्या था? Disclosure सही से नहीं किया. तो what is covered in the scope? Proper disclosure of financials information. The auditor should decide whether the relevant information is properly disclosed. He should keep in mind the statutory requirements. तो अगर statutory requirements है of Companies Act, let's say, तो Schedule 3 के हिसाब से disclosure होना चाहिए. So Schedule 3 के हिसाब से disclosure हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ है, और accounting standards है, IFRS है, Ind AS है, whatever is applicable to you, according to that, have you done the disclosure or not? If you are auditing a bank, then the disclosure should be as per Banking Regulation Act. If you're auditing an insurance company, the disclosure should be as per IRDA regulations and Insurance Act 1938. So you have to see what are the statutory requirements applicable. It is done by ensuring that financial statement properly summarize the transactions and events recorded and consider the judgments made by management. So, क्या आप अब इस आंसर में exact points लिखकर छोड़ देंगे? In this answer, will you just write the points and leave? No. What is the question asking? Whether the contention of the management is correct. So you have to give a conclusion. Give a conclusion. So here you have to give the conclusion that in view of the above, the management's contention is not correct. The matters identified by CA Mini, such as incomplete revenue recognition, missing or unauthorized expense vouchers, inadequate disclosures of change in accounting policy, are within the scope of audit and they affect reliability, completeness, and presentation. Now, this paragraph, you have to show your writing skills a bit. This first 3 points you can memorize from the book. But if the question is demanding you to write an opinion, if the question is asking you to give a conclusion, then in that case, you have to give a conclusion paragraph. So whenever this indirect question comes, asking you what to do, make sure to include a conclusion paragraph. These small tips, if you remember, you will not miss out on 1 mark here, 2 marks there. So even if you have written a full scope as per book, but if you have not given conclusion, you lose marks, right? So make sure you don't do that. So this part is clear and covered. Okay. First answer we have taken so much time, but I want to create a base that इस तरीके से पूरी class चलेगी, ठीक है? Question number 2. Everyone, quickly let me know. सबको समझ आ रहा है, सबको clear है, okay? Be responsive. Okay. Question number 2. M Motors Limited is a leading automobile manufacturer with many offerings across commercial, passenger, and electric vehicles. The company is pioneer in India's electric vehicle transition and enjoys considerable advantage in one of the fastest growing automotive markets. GR and Associates have been appointed as its statutory auditor for financial year 22-23. J&K are newly appointed audit assistants in the firm and are part of engagement team constituted for the purpose of audit of M Motors Limited. Okay. However, they are confused about what such an audit tends to achieve. They perceive audit as a guarantee against all possible errors and frauds in financial statements. Do you agree with the perception of both the assistants? In this context, outline the objectives of independent audit. मुझे बताओ पहले, ये टाइप 1 क्वेश्चन है या टाइप 2 क्वेश्चन है? इज दिस अ टाइप 1 क्वेश्चन और अ टाइप 2 क्वेश्चन? क्विकली बताइए. इट्स अ टाइप 2 क्वेश्चन. डज इट मीन कि इट विल हैव अ कंक्लूजन पैराग्राफ? विल इट हैव अ कंक्लूजन पैराग्राफ? ओके, गुड. Now, can you tell me what direct answer it is asking from you? Just by looking at the question, can you tell me ये आपके मॉड्यूल में से कौन से क्वेश्चन को पहचानने के लिए या लिखने के लिए बोल रहा है? You can look at your module. You can keep your book in front of you. Open book रख सकते हो आप मेरे सामने अभी के लिए. What is the direct question it is asking you? Very good, Aishal. Anyone else? मैं अभी आंसर नहीं बोलूंगी जो आयशल ने बोला है. बहुत ही सिंपल है, स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड दिया हुआ है क्वेश्चन में. इट्स गिवन इन द क्वेश्चन वेरी क्लियरली. ओके, करेक्ट. ऑलराइट. सो ऑब्जेक्टिव्स. सो व्हाट डज इट वांट फ्रॉम यू? क्वेश्चन क्या चाहता है हमसे? आप कहना क्या चाहते हैं क्वेश्चन जी? ये कह रहे हैं ऑब्जेक्टिव्स बताइए, समझाइए कि गारंटी नहीं है, एंड दोनों चीज को कंक्लूड कीजिए. ओके, सो एक्सप्लेन व्हाट द ऑब्जेक्टिव्स आर, एक्सप्लेन दोस ऑब्जेक्टिव्स एंड गिव एन आर्गुमेंट और रीजनिंग दैट व्हाई इट इज नॉट अ गारंटी. तो पहले मुझे बताओ everyone, what type of assurance do we give in audit? Jaldi, quickly, what type of assurance do we give in audit? Do we give guarantee? क्या हम guarantee देते हैं? No, we don't give any guarantee. Correct, Manas? So imagine कि ये एक start line है और ये एक end line है. Okay, imagine ये है no assurance. So if no one has audited your financial statement, तो उसकी स्थिति क्या है? What condition is it in? It is in the condition of no assurance, right? But 100% जब हो जाए तो उसको बोलते हैं absolute assurance. But in audit we have inherent limitations. Okay, because of the nature of it, there are inherent limitations, and that is why we give something called as reasonable assurance. ओके, सो अगर हम ऑब्जेक्टिव की बात करें जो कि इस क्वेश्चन में पूछा है, पहले तो यू कैन मेंशन ऐसे नंबर 200. वेयर इज द ऑब्जेक्टिव गिवन? क्वेश्चन क्या है? आउटलाइन द ऑब्जेक्टिव्स. वेयर आर दीज ऑब्जेक्टिव्स गिवन? इन ऐसे नंबर 200. सो मेक श्योर कि आप आंसर में ऐसे 200 लिखेंगे. नाउ ऑब्जेक्टिव, हाउ मेनी ऑब्जेक्टिव्स आर देयर? कैन एनीवन टेल मी क्विकली? कितने ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैं? 2 ऑब्जेक्टिव्स. परफेक्ट. 2 ऑब्जेक्टिव है. पहला ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या कहता है? पहला ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या कहता है? टू ऑब्टेन रीजनेबल अश्योरेंस. किस चीज की रीजनेबल अश्योरेंस? रीजनेबल अश्योरेंस that financial statement as a whole are free from material misstatement. This material misstatement can be due to fraud or error. Due to fraud and error. Okay. Plus, it has been prepared as per applicable financial reporting. Applicable financial reporting framework. So, first objective क्या है? Obtain reasonable assurance that financial statement as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud and error. and express an opinion that the financial statement in all material aspects is prepared as per applicable financial reporting framework. Next, दूसरा ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है? अश्योरेंस लेकर I'll sit, I'll not tell anyone. अश्योरेंस मिल गया, बस बैठ गई मैं, ऐसा नहीं. What is the second important thing? To report and communicate. To report and communicate the auditor's findings. Auditor's findings. Very good. Correct, Aishal. So, दो objective हैं, to obtain reasonable assurance, to report and communicate. अब question की requirement देखो. Try to understand. Will it be enough if I just write objectives and end the answer? If I just write the objectives and end the answer, is that enough? Do you think the answer will be completed? No. Why? They are telling you to give an argument that do you agree with the perception of both the assistants? 10 सेकेंड फालतू लगे तो लगे, बट क्वेश्चन को 2 बार पढ़ो. वो क्या मांग रहा है हमसे? What is the question demanding from us? Most of the students will make a mistake here that they will just write the objectives and they'll say मैंने तो पूरा आंसर लिखा. No, you did not write complete answer. You have to write objectives and you also have to explain that why it cannot be a guarantee. Okay. See the solution. This part we have covered. So first thing जो मैंने आपको बताई, क्या लिखोगे आप? ऐसे 200 मेंशन करना है. Everyone you have to mention ऐसे number 200. So objectives of auditor as per essay 200. Overall objectives of independent auditor and conduct of audit in accordance with standards of auditing. To obtain reasonable assurance, ये वाला पूरा part I have already covered. This fully I have covered already. To obtain reasonable assurance about financial statement as a whole, free from material misstatement due to fraud and error. To express an opinion that financial statements are prepared as per applicable financial reporting framework. To report on financial statements, to communicate as per auditor's findings. यहाँ पे आंसर खत्म नहीं हुआ. आप क्या लिखेंगे? We have to analyze and prove. How do we have to prove? That auditor is only obtaining reasonable assurance. Reasonable assurance is distinguished from absolute assurance. If you write different, that's also okay. Absolute assurance is a complete assurance or a guarantee. However, reasonable assurance is not a complete guarantee. It is a high level of assurance, but it is not complete. Audit is carried out by auditor using his professional competence and skills. Audit procedures are used as per essays. Audit evidence is obtained and evaluated. On the basis of that, conclusions are given and opinion is formed. It leads to high level of assurance, but it is still not absolute assurance. Second, misstatements can happen due to both fraud and error. An auditor is just trying to obtain reasonable assurance. Next, obtaining reasonable assurance enables the auditor to express an opinion whether financial statements are as per AFRF. This you have to just write the same as this part, okay? And last, the opinion is reported and communicated as per standards. The perceptions, therefore, conclusion paragraph आएगा, ठीक है? Perception of both the assistant is not proper. Auditor of financial statement does not seek to provide guarantee. He only obtains reasonable assurance. Everyone clear? All right. So थोड़ा requirement देखो कि question क्या demand कर रहा है. Next. Standards of auditing apply in audit of historical financial information, whereas standards of review engagements apply in review of historical information. Explain in detail giving examples. पहले तो ये बताओ ये बुक में है कि नहीं है? Is it there in your book? Is it there in your module directly? It's there. Okay. It's there in the module directly. There you are given this part. There is essay, there is SRE, there is SAE, and there is SRS. A small introduction. Aishal is asking the question, ma'am, if argument is there in the question, that analysis you have to give. Yes. If argument is there. Okay. You have to prove, na, Aishal, that how your argument is correct or incorrect. So basically, you have to prove that argument. Okay. So now there are 4 types of total engagement standards. Essay, SRE, SAE, and SRS. So the question is about only 2. It's about essays and SREs. So it's a pretty straightforward question कि आपको इसका मीनिंग लिखना है एंड इसके एग्जांपल्स लिखने हैं एंड SRE का भी मीनिंग लिखना है. So if you go and see the answer, it's quite straightforward. Essays is for audit of historical information. ये तो question से ही ले लिया. This is from the question only. Standards on auditing apply in audit, which is reasonable assurance engagement. Whereas SRE is only for review. It is only limited assurance engagement. दोनों अलग तरीके के काम हैं. So, बहुत सारी listed companies, many listed companies have this requirement to submit something called as LR report, that is limited review report, which is not a full-fledged audit, but it is better than no assurance. So, there are certain guidelines that are given according to which you have to conduct LR, that is limited review. So, when you are conducting that review, उसके लिए जो standards है that are SRE. So, which is better? Standard, auditing is better, and then review is a little lower assurance than the auditing. Okay. So audit is a higher level of assurance and SRE is a review engagement is a little lower level of assurance. So audit may reasonable assurance, review may limited assurance. Remember that. Historical financial information means information expressed in financial terms in relation to particular entity derived primarily from entities accounting system from economic events that have happened in past period or the conditions are in past. So both of these SA and SRE both are audit of historical information, but SA में audit होता है, SRE में review होता है, but दोनों में कौन सी information use होती है? Historical financial information means events that have happened in the past. Audit and review are 2 different terms. Audit is reasonable assurance engagement. Its objective is reduction of audit engagement risk to low risk. Whereas review is a limited assurance engagement and objective is to reduce the assurance risk that is acceptable in the circumstances. Then you can give some examples. Even if you write 2, 3, that's more than enough. So standards of auditing के 2-3 आप example आपने तो पढ़ते ही हो, कोई भी 2-3 लिख दो ऐसे 200, 230, 315, 500, 600, whichever 2-3 examples you can write. SRE का एक भी याद कर लोगे 1 या 2, that's more than enough. So SRE के examples ऐसे 2400, 2410. So engagement to review historical financial information and review of interim financial information performed by independent auditor. So बहुत ही easy है याद करना. Just remember, what is SRE? SRE is review of historical financial information. कौन से series है? 2400 and 2410. Okay. दोनों का नाम भी सेम ही है, review of historical financial information engagements and review of interim financial information. That's it. So just try to remember 2 names. That should be enough for you. This part is done. Question number 3 is done. Next. Question number 4. Kirti, a CA student, has joined articleship in a reputed audit firm. She considers audit engagement to be an assurance engagement. Her understanding is that audit engagement is the only kind of assurance engagement in which practitioner gives a written assurance report in appropriate form. However, her friend Soumya does not agree with her. She's of the view that assurance engagements are not restricted to audit alone. Besides, Soumya also thinks that assurance engagements can relate to matters other than historical financial information. Whose view appears to be correct? State with reason. Acha. So, can anyone tell me what type of question this is? This is a complete analysis question. ये कोई point वाला आंसर वाला क्वेश्चन है, ये बताओ पहले. Is this any point that you have to write 1, 2, 3, 4 direct point? No. So this question I've specifically kept for this class because here you have to use your understanding to write the answer. Here you have to use your understanding to write the answer. क्या बोल रही है? इसके लिए पहले आपको एक कॉन्सेप्ट पता होना चाहिए. मैं आपका सारांश ओपन करती हूँ. देखो, अश्योरेंस एंगेजमेंट याद है सबको? या अश्योरेंस एंगेजमेंट. अब अश्योरेंस एंगेजमेंट में क्या होता है? एनी एंगेजमेंट इन विच by my work someone gets some form of confidence. Is audit the only way of giving assurance? Quickly tell me. क्या audit ही एक तरीका है? No. Many things can be assurance engagement. Assurance engagement can be something that gives reasonable assurance engagement, limited assurance engagement. So even review is a type of assurance engagement, yes or no? Yes. So even review is a type of assurance engagement. And assurance engagement में क्या क्या होता है, क्या elements होते हैं? कोई भी चीज को assurance engagement अगर हमें classify करना है तो उसमें ये पैरामीटर्स होने चाहिए. क्या पैरामीटर्स? 3 लोग इन्वॉल्व होने चाहिए. देयर शुड बी 3 पीपल. एक तो प्रैक्टिशनर जो assurance engagement परफॉर्म कर रहा है. There should be a responsible party, means the person who is responsible to prepare the accounts, and users means a third party who is going to use that report. So let's say if I am creating an audit report, CA becomes the practitioner, responsible party becomes the management and TCWG of the company, and users may be shareholders. So for any assurance engagement, there should be 3-party relationship. Then there should be some information that I need to check. There should be some information that I need to check. Then there should be some criteria against which I will check that information. So let's say that company has paid a managerial remuneration of 2 crore rupees. Then that becomes my subject matter that I have to check 2 crore paid to managers. And what will be my sub criteria? I will have to check that as per company law, what is the maximum managerial remuneration can be paid. So I have to check the percentage given. CSR activity hai to 2%. So that becomes your criteria. Then you perform the engagement and you find evidences. Then evidences is found and then you give a report. So for anything to classify as assurance engagement, there are 5 matters. 3-party relationship, appropriate subject matter, suitable criteria, proper evidence, and a written report. So it is not necessary that only audit is an assurance engagement. Even other than audit can be an assurance engagement. Through any work, if the confidence of the intended users on the subject matter is increased, that is called as an assurance engagement. So that's it. It's a very small answer, but the art and the marks that you get is on 2 criteria. 2 चीज पे आपको इसमें मार्क्स मिलते हैं. पहला, क्या स्टूडेंट समझ पा रहा है कि क्वेश्चन क्या पूछ रहा है और उसको ये पता है कि अश्योरेंस एंगेजमेंट्स में सिर्फ ऑडिट नहीं होता. पहली ये चीज. दूसरा, क्या वो उस चीज को लिखकर एग्जामिनर को समझा पा रहा है, कन्विंस कर पा रहा है. सो हाउ इज द आंसर रिटन? Audit engagement is an assurance engagement. There's one question. मैम इंटेंडेड यूजर स्टेक होल्डर को बोलेंगे क्योंकि रिस्पॉन्सिबल पार्टी मैनेजमेंट और आपने बोला रिस्पॉन्सिबल पार्टी और इंटेंडेड यूजर सेम ही होगा. वेरी गुड. Aishal, I think you remember from my class where I said this statement that responsible party and intended user will be different people. Then only they will be three different people, right? Three-party relationship should be there. So you're absolutely correct that intended user can be anyone. So suppose, Aishal, एक और example देती हूँ मैं आपको. Suppose stock audit करने बुलाया गया है मुझे. ओके, सपोज स्टॉक ऑडिट करना है, ठीक है. उसमें प्रैक्टिशनर मैं हूं, लेट्स से सी आकृति, एंड मैं इसी में आपको दिखा देती हूँ प्रॉपरली. या सो स्टॉक ऑडिट में प्रैक्टिशनर आई एम, रिस्पॉन्सिबल पार्टी बोरोअर है, जिन्होंने बैंक से लोन लिया है वो रिस्पॉन्सिबल पार्टी है. और यूजर कौन है स्टॉक ऑडिट रिपोर्ट का? आयशन, इफ आई मेक अ स्टॉक ऑडिट रिपोर्ट, हु इज द यूजर ऑफ दैट रिपोर्ट? स्टॉक ऑडिट रिपोर्ट कौन यूज कर रहा है? बैंक यूज कर रही है. सो यूजुअली रिस्पॉन्सिबल पार्टी एंड इंटेंडेड यूजर विल बी डिफरेंट पीपल. मैंने यहाँ पे स्टेक होल्डर वर्ड क्यों नहीं लिखा? बिकॉज इवन मैनेजमेंट एंड टीसीडब्ल्यूजी कैन बी स्टेक होल्डर इन अ कंपनी, राइट? राइट आयशा? सो स्पेसिफिकली मैंने शेयर होल्डर क्यों लिखा? बिकॉज देन दे बिकम सेपरेट एंटिटीज. इंटेंडेड यूजर एक ऑडिट रिपोर्ट का सेबी भी हो सकती है, यस और नो? आरओसी भी हो सकती है इंटेंडेड यूजर, यस और नो? बैंक भी हो सकती है इंटेंडेड यूजर. ओके, सो अश्योरेंस एंगेजमेंट डजंट मीन कि सिर्फ ऑडिटर होता है, सिर्फ ऑडिट करते हैं, नहीं. इसलिए हमने वर्ड भी क्या यूज किया ऑडिटर की जगह? प्रैक्टिशनर. ठीक है. So audit engagement is an assurance engagement. However, assurance engagement are not restricted to auditing alone. There are other assurance engagements too, like review engagements, engagements providing assurance involving prospective financial statements, engagement providing assurance or internal controls. These are examples. So if you remember, SA, SRE, SAE, SRS, ये सब assurance engagements हैं. Assurance engagement provides assurance to users. The difference is of the degree. अब ये इसलिए मैंने कहा थोड़ा सा राइटिंग स्किल यूज होगा इसमें, इसलिए इस टाइप के आंसर्स की प्रैक्टिस करना बहुत जरूरी है. सो difference is of degree. Whereas an audit provides reasonable assurance, which is high level, review provides low level. That's it. Providing assurance on matters involving prospective financial information and providing assurance on internal controls. In assurance reports involving prospective information, the practitioner obtains sufficient evidence to the effect that the management's assumptions on which the prospective financial statement is based are not unreasonable. The prospective financial information is properly prepared on the basis of assumptions, is properly presented, and all assumptions are adequately disclosed. Now here sometimes students get confused, इसलिए I'll clear it. Prospective financial statements. So let's say you are going for a loan in a bank, ठीक है? And they are asking you that ये तो 2025-26 का हो गया, but give us projections for 2027-28. Okay, so they have given some sales figures XYZ, they have given some amount, the management has prepared this. So am I auditing this numbers? So अगर मैं assurance engagement perform कर रही हूँ, क्या मैं इन numbers को audit कर रही हूँ? जल्दी बताओ. Am I auditing these numbers? No, I'm not auditing. Then what am I doing? मैं क्या assurance दे रही हूँ? मेरा signature का क्या value है इस report में? What am I doing is I am just checking whether assumptions are correct and whether they are disclosed. So in this part, what are we seeing? Am I telling that, okay, if you have given 2 crore figure here, this 2 crore is absolutely correct? No. Am I auditing that? Can you tell me? Am I auditing that? Yes, Vanilla, I'll ensure, okay? I'll ensure. So usually when I'm speaking, I'll ensure that if I'm telling something in Hindi, I'll tell that in English also. Okay. If I tell. So am I auditing and telling that, okay, the turnover or the sales for 2026-27 is 2 crore, will be 2 crore only? No. When I am giving assurance on these kind of reports that are prospective financial information, I am only giving that whether the assumptions are reasonable and whether the assumptions are properly disclosed. So this kind of engagements are also called as assurance engagements. So is it necessary that assurance can only be given for historical information? No. Assurance engagements can also be for future prospective financial statements. We call them projections also. Hence, in the given case, as usual, there will be a one conclusion paragraph. So in the given case, Kriti is of the view that audit engagement is the only kind of assurance engagement in which practitioner gives a report is appropriate, whereas is of the view that assurance engagement are not restricted. यहाँ पे it should be Soumya. Soumya is of the view. Who is correct? Kriti is correct or Soumya is correct? Soumya is correct. Okay. So Kriti is of the view that audit is the only type of assurance engagement, whereas Soumya is saying that audit and assurance engagements are not just audit. Hence, Soumya is correct. Done. Next question. Auditor is not expected to and cannot reduce audit risk to zero and cannot therefore obtain absolute assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatement due to fraud and error. This is because there are inherent limitations to audit. Explain. Now tell me, is this a type 1 question or a type 2 question? Is this a type 1 question or a type 2 question? Quickly tell me. Quickly. Very good, Niruben. Type 1, very straightforward, very direct. Which means you have to, if you have memorized the answer, you can get full marks. Okay. You just have to directly write inherent limitations. Give it a try. Tell any inherent limitation to me. Everyone, give it a try. Aishal has given one. Who else? Very good, Vanilla. Anil is your name? Is your name Anil? Or Vanilla? Anil is your name, correct. Okay. Okay, Anil. Correct, Anil. Correct, Aishal. Anyone else? More points of inherent limitations. This though you should remember in your sleep also. Inherent limitations you should remember by now in your sleep also. Okay, correct, Anil. Second point is also correct. Aishal, your also 2 points are correct. What else? What else is inherent limitation? Nature of financial reporting. Nature of audit procedures. Not in the nature of investigation. Very good. Yes, correct, Anil. You have given the last point also. Timeliness. Yes, timeliness and decrease in relevance. Very good. Last point is pending. Can you remember? One last point, that is future events. Due to these 5 points, due to these 5 factors, the audit is always having inherent limitations, which means that presence of these points creates a limitation in audit because of which it can never be a guarantee. It can never be an absolute assurance. It will always be just a reasonable assurance. Let's quickly see the points. The process of audit suffers from some inbuilt limitations due to which auditor cannot obtain absolute assurance. So here I'll give you another tip. Whenever there is direct points question, give a 2 to 3 line opening paragraph. Directly don't just start writing limitations. Just give a small opening 2 to 3 lines of paragraph. Okay. Inbuilt limitations due to which auditor cannot obtain absolute assurance that are free from material misstatement. The fundamental limitations arise due to following factors. Nature of financial reporting, what all points you have to remember? The preparation of financial statements involves judgment by management. These judgment involves subjective decisions or degree of uncertainty. Therefore, auditor may not be able to obtain absolute assurance that the financial statements are free. Whether in this can I write essay 200? Yes, you can write. Aishan, you can write essay number 200. You can give reference. Even in your module, the reference is there for essay 200. So absolutely you can write. Okay. Nature of audit procedures. There are practical and legal limitations. Please write both these words. Practical and legal limitation, auditor's ability to obtain audit evidence, like possibility that management or others may not provide complete information relevant to preparation and presentation of financial statements. Fraud may involve some sophisticated and carefully organized schemes. So nature of audit procedures means I am dependent on the management to give me information. So if I'm checking sales, the management will give me sale bills. If the management find fault, I'll report. But I'm not going to find. I'm not going with the purpose कि मुझे तो ढूंढना है. I have to find something. Not like that. Timeliness of financial reporting and decrease in relevance of information over time, which means some information by value diminishes over time, and there is a balance to be struck between reliability of information and its cost, which means some information may be missing. For example, there is a 100 rupee tea bill that's missing, but I'm not going to go to the tea wala and ask them to give me some bill fine from 7 months ago, 100 rupee bill. So you have to find that balance, that what information I can pursue, reliability of information and the cost. Cost does not mean just money. It means time and resources that you are spending. Future events. Future events can affect the entity adversely. So let's say before COVID, some travel company was there that was doing very well, very big travel company. They were doing really good work and the going concern is valid. But then 2 years COVID happened and that company shut down. Do you think you can blame the auditor that why did you give going concern assumption to be valid? No, because I cannot predict future events, because of which my opinion can over a period of time turn out to be false. So what are the 5 inherent limitations? Nature of financial reporting, nature of audit procedures, not in the nature of investigation, timeliness of financial reporting and decrease in relevance of information over time, and future events. Okay, next question. Question number 6. RTE, a mid-sized trading company, recently faced challenges in securing a bank loan due to doubts over reliability of its financial statement. Management realized that importance of having audit accounts to build confidence among lenders and stakeholders. Elucidate the benefits and need of an audit. Quickly tell me, type 1 or type 2? Is it a type 1 question or type 2 question? Do you have a direct answer for this in your book? Do you have exact copy paste answer in your book? Yes. So आपने book पढ़ी है. If you have studied the book, you have learned the book, you can write the answer. What do you have to write? You just have to write the advantages of audit. What are advantages of audit? Quickly try to recall. Recall करने की कोशिश करो. Try to recall. What are the advantages of audit? एक तो यही, one advantage is given here only. It helps to build confidence amongst the lenders and negotiating bank loans. What other thing? What other? Just try 1 or 2, then we'll go and see the answer. Okay. To detect fraud and error. Okay. Employees, remember employees. Do you remember any points regarding employees? Yes, very good, Anil. It acts like a moral check. It helps in government-based issues. Very good. Good, Lalita. Helpful to government authorities. Good, Niruben. I'm glad to see interaction. So what are the benefits? As usual, you can, if you remember it, you can write it. So just try. It provides high quality information, so it gives confidence to users. Then shareholders may not be fully involved, so it is interest is safeguarded by an audit. Next, it acts as a moral check on employees from committing any frauds for the fear of being discovered. Then it is helpful to government authorities to determine tax liabilities. Audited financial statement can be relied upon by lenders, bankers for making credit decisions. This is given in the question only. So if you write few points, you can get the answer easily. So it gives high quality information. It is helpful to the shareholders. It is helpful to keep a check on your employees. It is helpful to government to determine your tax liability. And the information can be relied by lenders and bankers to make the decision regarding lending. Very easy answer, very quick answer. Next. Next question. Assurance engagement means an engagement in which practitioner expresses a conclusion designed to enhance the degree of confidence of intended users other than responsible party about the outcome of evaluation or measurement of a subject matter. This is just a definition. You don't have to get worried. In this context, now the question comes. Give 3 examples of assurance engagements highlighting difference in nature provided. Can you tell me what is this question asking from you? Sure. Try. What is this question asking from us? It is asking 3 different examples. What do you think I have to write in this? We have done this answer. We have just completed this answer. We have just completed, just different style of asking. Different style of asking. Give 3 examples. What 3 examples you will give? Try to think. Try to analyze. This is, of course, a type 2 question. Okay. One person has replied, I want you all to try. Give it a try. Book is open in front of you. I am not seeing that you can't write the answer. Book is open. Still try to find and connect the question to the answer. Very good, Anil. Anil has given correct answer. What else? Who else? I want other people to also give a chance. The more you interact with me, the more you will benefit from this class. Okay. Aishal has also given. Okay. So the 3 type of examples of assurance engagement is audit, essay, review, SRE, and prospective financial information. Did we study this right now? Abhi padha tha. Did we study this? Yes, same point. 3 examples of assurance engagement. 3 examples. Audit of financial information gives reasonable assurance. What do we check? Yes, full point. Again, you see, it is taken from objective. Same point is written. Review. It is lower level of assurance than audit. You do fewer procedures, gather enough evidence on which limited conclusions can be drawn. And then examination of prospective information. In prospective information, the practitioner obtains information that assumptions is properly not unreasonable, is properly prepared, and all assumptions are disclosed. It gives which kind of assurance? Moderate assurance. Done? So little twisted way of asking. ऐसा लगेगा आपको, you might feel that you have to write this answer on your own. But is this an own answer? Do you have to give some random 3 examples? No. You have to give these 3 examples. So sometimes the question will try to trick you. So it is tricky question. It feels as if I have to write something on my own. It feels like I have to create some examples. But it's actually a direct question. Understood? So be careful of the small tricks. And you can get used to our tricks only by practicing more and more questions. So please practice Q&As. Next. The management of Cool Drinks Limited suspects that some employees of the company may be involved in making fraudulent payments to dummy workers at various plants in the country. Therefore, they are considering appointment of a firm of auditors to conduct audit involving detailed examination of accounts. However, one senior person amongst the board members, Mr. P, objects to the word of audit in proposed assignment. Comment. Also discuss how audit is different from investigation. First, tell me, for this assignment, is the word audit correct? Reply in yes or no. There is already a suspicion. There is already a suspicion that some fraud is already happening. Then you are appointing someone to check that fraud. So are you doing audit? No. What is this? This is actually investigation. So is this board member correct? Is this senior person correct? That the word audit should not be used? Is the senior person correct? Yes. So first you have to analyze this on your own. And then you have to write how audit is different from investigation. So audit is distinct from investigation. Investigation is critical examination of accounts with a special purpose. Is this we doing for special purpose? Yes. For example, if fraud is suspected and it is specifically called upon to check the accounts whether fraud exists, it takes the character of investigation. The objective of audit is just to obtain reasonable assurance. The scope of audit is general and broad, whereas the scope of investigation is specific and narrow. So in this investigation, are they going to check each and everything, or are they going to focus on finding fraudulent payments, dummy payments? They're going to focus on dummy payments. They're not going to check each and everything. In the given situation, management suspects that some of its employees may be involved in making fraudulent payments. Such an investment is in the nature of investigation. Therefore, Mr. P is right in objecting the use of this. Now tell me, is this type 1 or type 2? This is actually type 3. So, one is direct, one is indirect, and another is drafting. Drafting means the whole answer you have to write from your understanding. Understood? पूरा आंसर खुद ड्राफ्ट करना है. Okay? Next. Mention any 3 standards issued under authority of ICAI, known as engagement standards. Mention the purpose. Is this easy? This is very, very easy, madam. This I have already mentioned. Tell me the names. Tell me any 3 standards issued by ICAI, known as engagement standards. Standards of auditing, standards of review engagement, standards of assurance engagement. Same you have to use. Essays is for audit of historical information. SRE is for review of historical information. Assurance engagement is for other than audit and review of historical information. SRS is for agreed upon procedures, which means some procedure management has told you and you have specifically followed that. That's it. Finished. Simple. Very, very easy. Next question. XYZ Limited, a manufacturing company engaged in the production of various types of yarn. Ma'am, investigating comes under SRS? No. Any assurance engagement does not come under investigation. Okay? So investigation will not come under any engagement standard. Clear? Okay. Question number 10. XYZ Limited, a manufacturing company. And so, Anil, just an extra information, when this forensic kind of analysis, if we do now, that comes under forensic audit. Okay, that you will study in CA final. Okay, So when we are going to find frauds, and we are going to find frauds with the purpose to get evidence that we can use in the court, that time that audit becomes forensic audit. That is completely different. Okay. So question number 10. XYZ Limited, a manufacturing company engaged in the production of various types of yarn, is planning to expand its operations into new geographical market and also add new products. Company has prepared prospective financial information to be presented to potential investors and financial institutions to secure funding. Okay. XYZ Limited engages a firm of auditors to conduct an assurance engagement on its prospective financial information. Who has prepared prospective information? Management. I am just going to check it. Okay. During the engagement, the auditor reviewed the assumptions made by the management and issued a report. Explain the key differences between prospective financial information and historical. How does this distinction impact the level of assurance? See, same answer, different way of asking. Hai na? Same question, but different way of asking. So, in audit, we give high level of assurance. Prospective, we give low level of assurance. In prospective financial information, what assurance we give? That whether the assumptions taken by the management are appropriate and reasonable, and whether the calculations have been done as per the assumptions, whether what is the third point? They are appropriately disclosed, whether the assumptions are properly disclosed. That's it. Again, you have to write the same thing. So, difference between historical financial information and prospective financial information. Historical information means financial terms are expressed about economic events, conditions, or circumstances that have happened in past period. Prospective means future events and possible actions. Therefore, historical information is rooted in past events. Prospective is for future events. In assurance report involving prospective financial information, the practitioner obtains sufficient appropriate audit evidence to the effect that management's assumptions are not unreasonable. The information is prepared as per assumptions and it is properly presented and adequately disclosed. This I'm repeating for the third or the fourth time. Now it should get fit in your brain. एकदम दिमाग में बैठ जाना चाहिए. Prospective information relates to future events. While evidence may be available to support the assumptions on which prospective financial information is based, such evidence itself is future oriented. The auditor is not in a position to express an opinion as to whether results shown will be achieved or not. I cannot tell whether the sale of 2 crores will happen next year or not. So in this, you are just giving a report assuring that nothing has come to practitioners' attention to suggest that these assumptions do not provide a reasonable basis. Hence, we give only moderate level of assurance. Clear? Now we are on the last question of chapter 1. TD and Company Chartered Accountants were appointed as statutory auditors of MR Limited for financial year 23-24. MR Limited included the following clause in appointment letter. Auditor shall be responsible for detecting frauds that may happen in the company. The auditor objected to the inclusion of such a clause. Discuss in the light of the audit. Can this clause come? पहले तो ये बताओ. Everyone tell me. Can this clause come? Will you sign on an engagement letter where it says the auditor shall be responsible for detecting all the frauds that may happen? Is this correct? Quickly tell me. Is this correct? Yes, Mary. Anil, no. Mary, no. Aishal, no. Why is this not correct? Chalo, first step you have given correct. Okay. No, it's not correct. Why? Why is it not correct? What reason you will give in your answer? Why is this not correct? How will you justify it? Because it's not an investigation. Very good, Mary. So, scope of audit. So, what will we explain? Very good, Pooja, because it is not in the scope of audit. That is the word I was looking for. Because it is not in the scope of audit. So, in conducting the audit, this you have to give the definition. This definition we have done many times. Audit is not an official investigation into wrongdoing. I do not have any legal powers of search, recording statements, taking oath. All this I can't do. Audit is different from investigation. The scope of audit is general and broad, whereas scope of investigation is specific and narrow. That is why inclusion of such a clause is uncalled for and outside the scope of audit. Everyone clear? So here we are done with chapter number 1. Technical team. Technical team will take a 10-15 minutes break. I'll be back and we'll start chapter number 2. Okay. 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 Welcome back, students. I hope you are all back. Quickly let me know. You are back in the class and just reply. Daksh is asking, ma'am, answers for audit are supposed to be written in what format? So most of the answers that I showed you in last 1.5 hours, that is how it has to be written. So just don't rely too much on drawing those flow charts or writing short points. It needs to be paragraph based. Okay, the answers need to have some weight to it and some structure to it. Otherwise, I have already told you that whenever there is a question, you have to write a conclusion, and whenever there is a direct question with just points, you have to write an opening paragraph. Wherever required, you have to add this essay number. Bullet point is okay. For example, I'll give you an example. We did one answer, na Ishal. What are the benefits of audit? Do you remember, Ishal? We did one question called as what are the benefits of audit. So in that, the answer is bullet point only. There are no paragraphs in it. Yes or no? But whenever they're asking you to analyze something, they're asking you to give reason for something, that time it becomes paragraph based. There was one question called as inherent limitations, right? So inherent limitations are 5 points only. Yes or no? But each point you are explaining with 1 or 2 paragraphs, 1 or 2 small lines you can explain. Depends on whether the question is for 3 marks, 4 marks, or 5 marks. Is that clear? But you will not write answer like this. So for example, benefits of audit is there. You cannot write like this, useful for government. Like this, can you write? Can you just write like this? No. It needs to be a properly constructed full sentence. Is that clear? I hope it's clear now. It's a theory, subjective based question. So you have to write full answers, full points. Okay. Others, can you please let me know? Okay. So we'll start with chapter number 2 now. Chapter number 2 is a very straightforward chapter with very straightforward points. And there are few answers that you need to remember very accurately. Please follow my 13721 rule for chapters like this specifically, where there is a lot of content that needs to go in your brain. It's not just understanding. You have to ensure that the correct words, correct keywords, correct paragraphs, correct points come to you at the right time during exam. So chapter number 2, audit strategy, audit planning, and audit program. Here the base essay that we will cover is essay number 300 is mainly covered in this. Planning and audit of financial statements. Okay. So here that is the primary essay that's covered. So we'll start with question wise. Almost all important points of this chapter is covered in this revision of Q&A. CA Issue is appointed as an auditor of manufacturing company with complex supply chain, multiple inventory locations, and recently introduced new financial reporting requirements. Some article assistants and an expert assigned for inventory verification are forming part of audit team of CA Issue. To ensure that audit risk is reduced to an acceptably low level, CA Issue is focused on developing an effective and efficient audit plan. Explain the benefits of adequate audit planning. Is this a direct question? Is this a very direct question? Yes. Exact, very direct question from the book. So if you remember the answer, you can get full marks. If you don't remember the answer, you will struggle. Okay. So if you have studied well, if you have revised properly, anyone can score full marks in this answer. So what is the question? Ye sab extra information. Where is the main point? Explain the benefits of audit planning. What is the benefit of audit planning? So if you remember, what were the benefits of audit planning? You pay attention to important areas. You pay attention to important areas because of which you can find potential problems on timely basis. Second benefit is you can find potential problems on timely basis, because of which the whole audit can become properly organized. It can be properly managed. Okay. It can be properly organized, properly managed. If it is properly organized and if it is properly managed, who does it help? It will help that engagement team is properly selected, properly directed, properly supervised, proper coordination will happen. Automatically all benefits are covered. So if you try to create a mind map कैसे? Audit planning करके मुझे क्या फायदा होगा? What will be the benefits? What will be the benefits? I will not miss any important areas. What will happen if I don't miss important areas? I'll be able to find problems in the starting and give time to it. Okay, what will happen because of all this? My audit will be very properly organized and managed. If it is properly organized, means correct team members are selected, correct team members are properly supervised, and properly coordination is done. इस तरीके से create like a mind map so that after one point you can connect the second point, from second point you can connect the third point, from third point you can connect the fourth point. That's it. See the answer? Adequate planning benefits, what are there? Helping the auditor to organize and manage the audit areas. It will help me identify all the potential problems. If I do all this, what will happen? My audit will be properly organized and managed. If it is properly organized and managed, then I can select my engagement team properly according to their capability and competence, give them work, direct them, supervise them, and give correct coordination. Okay? Did you try at home doing like this with me? Did you try this? If you do this, you'll be able to remember. But if you repeat today 5 times and then you don't see for 20 days, can you remember after 20 days? आज आपने 5 बार बोल के कर लिया, पर 20 दिन नहीं देखा तो याद रहेगा 20 दिन बाद? If today you say 5 times continuously, but you don't do for 20 days, no. So today, then tomorrow, then 3rd day, then 7th day, and then 21st day. Understood? Okay, next. Preliminary engagement activities. Preliminary engagement activity, please remember this word, includes certain activities to be performed by an auditor while planning an audit. Discuss such activities, how performing such audit activities assist an auditor. Again, tell me, type 1 or type 2? Type 1 or type 2? Type 1. That is why I told you this chapter is full of type 1 questions. Direct question, direct answer. If you can't memorize, you will struggle with this chapter. And everyone can memorize because all of us have cleared 10th and 12th exams. Have you cleared 10th and 12th exams with research paper writing and analysis? History, geography, maths, biology, everyone has studied, right? So all of us can memorize, but you have to give it enough time and repetition. So what is the solution? Preliminary engagement activity, very straightforward answer. Preliminary engagement activity mein 3 things are included. Performing procedures regarding continuance of client relationship, evaluating compliance with ethical requirements, and establishing an understanding of terms of engagement. What does this mean? How do you remember it? What does it mean by preliminary engagement activity? Let's say, Aishal, you are my client, okay? You want me to do your audit. Okay, Aishal? Aishal wants me to do audit. Before I even start my engagement, what do I do? So what will I do? First, I'll see whether Aishal, do I want to continue my client relationship with Aishal, which means I will see previous year how much Aishal worried me, or how much headache he gave me, or how much he say I will not give this document, I will not give that document, how much pressure Aishal gave me. I will evaluate first my client, that whether do I want to continue relationship with him or not. Suppose Aishal's relationship with me has been okay. He has been a good client. Second, I will see Aishal is her. Okay, Aishal. So sorry for that. So my relationship with Aishal has been very good, and Aishal is a good client. Okay. Now, second point I will see. Okay, Aishal is a good client, but am I a good CA for her? Second, I will see, can I be ethical? Can I be independent when I do her audit? So this again is a preliminary pre-engagement activity. And third, I will see that, okay, what will be our style of working? What will be our conditions of engagement? So three preliminary engagement activity. Remember Aishal's example. So in exam, if you see preliminary engagement activity, what will you remember? That ma'am talked about Aishal. She did mistake of misappropriating her gender. Then Aishal corrected that she is a her. So all this comedy you'll remember, and you will remember those 3 points. Okay. Preliminary engagement, performing procedures regarding continuance of client relationship, evaluating compliance with ethical requirements, including independence. So first I'll check my client, then I'll check myself, and then I'll check our work with each other. That is understanding terms of engagement. Can you remember, students? Yaad rahega, preliminary engagement activity. Too many students forget this. So you should not forget, it's very easy. So, performing preliminary engagement activity assists the auditor in identifying and evaluating events or circumstances that may affect auditor's ability to plan and perform the engagement. Done. Next question. CAN, engagement partner of LPS. First, I'll just clear in case you have any doubt, what is an engagement partner? So suppose there is a company called as Green Clean Private Limited, okay? They have appointed ABC and Associates as auditor. They have 3 partners. All 3 partners will start doing the audit, students. सब के सब एक ही कंपनी में लग जाएंगे. All 3 start, no. So what will they decide internally? Okay, ABC and Associates is the auditor. In this, we are giving responsibility to Miss B. So Miss B is responsible to audit. So Miss B is engagement partner. And suppose the firm has 20 employees. Will all employees do the audit? No. So Miss B is selecting 5. So these total become the engagement team. Please remember all this. Now let's come back to the question. CAN, engagement partner of LPS Limited Associates, is planning audit of a large company. As part of preliminary engagement activities being performed in this regard, he wants to ensure that compliance with independence requirements is adhered. How shall he form a conclusion that audit firm complies with independence requirements? How do we check that whether I have independence or not? Okay, let's say Aishal also will take example. So Aishal, I want to be your auditor and I want to see, I want to comply, I want to get assurance that my firm, my whole firm is having independence to be able to do your work. What can I do? I can first obtain information. I can obtain all information, means what is my past work with them, what is my partner's work with them, was any one of them director, is my engagement team any relative in the company, in your company. So first I'll do gather information. Information लाओ. Obtain information. Information इकट्ठा करो. Just obtain information. Then evaluate information. Then क्या करो? You have found information. Now evaluate the information. And then what will you do? You have evaluated it. And as per that information, take appropriate action. Do you think you can remember? How to check independence? Obtain information, evaluate information, take action. Can you remember? Obtain information, evaluate information, take action. Okay. So how to check whether independence requirements are fulfilled? Obtain information, evaluate information, take action. So if you see the book now, what is the answer? The engagement partner, CAN, shall form a conclusion on compliance with independence requirements that apply. In doing so, CAN shall obtain relevant information to identify and evaluate circumstances and relationships that create threats to independence. So I'll obtain all information which I feel can create a problem to my independence. Then evaluate the information on identified breaches, if any, of firm's independence and that create a threat. So just try to evaluate that what threats have happened in the past, how did they affect my independence, how did they affect the firm's policy, and then take appropriate action. See, action can be two. First, if I have found some problems, I'll try to eliminate it. So if one of my engagement team members' father was an ex-director of the company, I'll say, okay, you are not part of my engagement team anymore. That's called as elimination. So either you can eliminate the threat, and if you're not able to eliminate the threat, you withdraw from the engagement. So what action we can take? You can eliminate the threat or reduce them to acceptable level. And if appropriate, you can withdraw from the engagement. So engagement partner will have to take that decision. If you are not able to take decision, then you have to inform the firm that I am not able to take an appropriate action. So how do we check independence? Obtain information, evaluate, take action. What obtain information? Whether there are any threats. What do we evaluate? Whether the threats are affecting my independence. And what action to take? Either eliminate or reduce or withdraw. And if you're not able to take a decision, inform. Clear? Clear? Okay. This is a two-way street. Or if I am excited, but students are not, then teaching can be brilliant and it will not have any effect. So if you are not active, if you are not involved, then it does not matter who the teacher is and how much work they are doing. So you also have to show some response, okay? Aishal is holding the fort of the class. During the audit of ABC Limited, a medium-sized manufacturing company, the engagement partner, during the audit of ABC Limited, a medium-sized, okay. ABC Limited is medium-sized manufacturing company. The engagement partner is responsible for directing and supervising the work of engagement team. The engagement team includes both experienced members and new trainees. Additionally, certain areas of audit have been identified as high risk, such as revenue recognition and inventory valuation due to recent changes in ABC's accounting policies. What factors should the engagement team members consider when determining the nature, timing, and extent of direction, supervision, and review of engagement team work? Okay. What does this mean? Let's say that my team members are Anil, Aishal, Pooja. Okay. You three are my engagement team members. And you are going to audit a manufacturing company. Okay. Let's say the company name is ABC Limited. So you three are my engagement team members. Now tell me, what factors will affect that how much I will supervise you? So I have given you tasks. What factors will decide that how much will I supervise you? If the company is very, very complex and big, will I supervise you more or less? Tell me. If the company is very complex and a very big company with lot of subsidiaries, will I supervise you more or less? Lalita is saying supervise more. Anyone else? Mary is saying more. Aishal is saying more. Good. Now tell me, if the area of audit that I have given you to check is sales, another area is forex, all the foreign transactions. In which will I check? In which will I supervise more? In sales verification or forex? If you're doing forex, okay. If the risk is high, will I supervise you more or less? If the risk is high, will I supervise you more or less? If the risk of any item is high, I'll supervise you more. Okay. And if all three of you are in your first year of articleship, will I supervise you more or less? If all of you are in the first year of articleship. But what if Anil is a CA, Aisha and Pooja are last year articleship? Will I supervise you more or less? Comparatively, will I supervise you more or less? Yes. So what I told you is the answer, simple answer. How to decide how much to supervise? It depends. So the nature, timing, and extent of direction and supervision of engagement team depends on which factors? Size and complexity of the entity. If the entity is more complex, then more supervision. Area of audit. If the area of audit is very complex, then more supervision. If the assessed risk is very high, then more supervision. If the capabilities are good, then less supervision. Yes or no? If the size and the complexity is very high, then more supervision. If the area of audit is more complex, then more supervision. If assessed risk of material misstatement is very high, then more supervision. If the capabilities are very high, then less supervision. Can you remember this answer? हो जाएगा? Okay. Next. Question number 5. ATL Private Limited, a leading manufacturing company, appointed CA Atul as an auditor for the year 23-24. Given the complexity of company's operations and the need for a systematic approach, he plans to design a detailed audit program to ensure the accuracy of financial assertion. Okay. As a CA student, if you are assisting CA Atul in constructing the audit program, what are the points you will keep in mind? First, tell me, this is type 1 or type 2? This is type 1 or type 2? 1, you have a very straightforward question in your book. Very, very direct question in your book. You know what is the direct question? Construction of an audit program. It's directly there in your book. How to construct an audit program. What points to keep in mind while making an audit program. Now, if I am doing stock audit, okay, suppose I'm doing stock audit, I want to make an audit program. Will I include checking depreciation of machinery in it? Or will I include investments in other gold in it? No. So, first important thing when you are constructing an audit program is to stay within the scope and limitation of the assignment. Don't do extra things which cannot be covered. So, stay within the scope. Then it should be properly written. It should be properly written down that what needs to be checked, how it needs to be checked. So, let's say I want to create an audit program to check gold loans. Everyone knows what is a gold loan? Okay. I want to create an audit program to check gold loan. I am making this audit program for Pooja. Okay. So audit program I am creating for Pooja. Because Pooja is going to go check everything. I am not going to go and check each gold loan. So will I check gold is real? Will I write this? Will I write this in my audit program for Pooja? Check gold is real. Check gold is 22 carat. Check gold is 18 carat. Will I ask her to do that? No. Audit program should keep in mind what limitations we have. Understood? So stay within the scope and limitation. Then prepare a written program. I will not just orally tell Pooja that how to check gold loan. I will make a written audit program for her. Then determine the evidence that is reasonably available and identify the best evidence. What does it mean? Will I write in this audit program? Contact the borrower and visit them and take a GPS photo to verify the identity of borrower. Will I write this in my audit program? For her to check, let's say there are 2,000 gold loans in a bank. Can I write this in the audit program? Contact and visit them personally. I can write external confirmation you obtain. But will I write this? No. Why? Because you have to be reasonable. Up audit program mein you can't just write random things that is not possible to achieve. You have to write only those procedures that are reasonably possible to achieve. Okay. Then apply only those steps which are useful for verification. So instead of this, can I just write verify KYC collected and CIBIL checked? Can I write this? Is this reasonable? Is this reasonable to understand the identity of the borrower? Yes. This much is enough. To check the KYC, to check the CIBIL. CIBIL is their credit score. Okay. So apply only those steps which can help you in accomplishing your goal. So what is my goal? That this gold loan is real. Include audit objective for each area and sufficient details that serve as instructions. So let's say I write check gold value by appraiser. So gold value, I have told Pooja, but I have not told why she should check it. I should tell you have to check gold value because if gold value is 3 lakh and if loan given is 3,20,000, is that allowed? Is that allowed? And if gold value is 3 lakh and the gold loan given is 2,99,000, even this much small margin is okay? No. I have to tell her you have to check the gold value by appraiser so that you can check that the gold loan is 80 to 85%. So you also have to explain that why something needs to be checked. So that is why this line is very important. Include the audit objective for each area. Appraiser is the one who appraises the value of gold. So Aishil, if you go to a bank or an NBFC to give your gold and take a loan, the bank employees will not check the gold value. They will appoint someone who has knowledge of gold. They are called as appraiser, and those appraisers will check the value of the gold. Clear? Yes, they are experts that are hired by the bank. Okay. Those are gold experts who can decide whether the gold is real. They will only check. So I cannot be an expert, right? I don't know that if I touch gold, whether it's 22 karat, 18 karat. What can I do? Tell me, if Aisha, you were the auditor, what step can you put? I cannot myself check whether the gold is real, but what can I check? Whether the appraiser has correct qualifications. Yes or no? I can talk to expert, I can talk to appraiser, I can check his qualifications, I can check how he was hired, what is the contract between bank and the appraiser, all that I can check. Okay. So whenever you are putting any point in your audit program that check this, check that, mention the audit objective of each area, that why you have to check it. Consider all possibilities of error, which means I have to keep in mind that where all bank makes mistakes. So I'll tell you. So I know that the bank makes mistake that check borrower has signed on all pages. Then check bank has put stamp on all agreements. Why am I able to write these points in my audit program? Because I know from my experience that kaha bank mistake karegi. So a good audit program can be made if an auditor is able to predict that where all the errors happen, where all is the possibility of risk. Another page, another point where banks make mistakes, sometimes they forget the borrower's photo. Sometimes manager forgets to sign. Sometimes KYC, they take only Aadhaar, they forget to take PAN card. If PAN card is not there, they forget to take Form 16. So I have to try to predict that what all errors can happen, and accordingly I can make a good audit program. Understood? Okay. If I have to take this class, what all error I have to consider? Tell me quickly. So suppose I have to create an audit program for an online classroom. So what all errors can happen in an online class? Internet can go away, power can go away, the nib can stop working, this Apple pen can stop working, anything can happen. So a good program can be created when we are able to predict what all problems can happen so that internal controls are present or not. Okay. And coordinate the procedures to be applied in related items. What is related item? Let's say if I am auditing a manufacturing company, the related item will be, let's say if I'm checking inventory, sometimes purchases and sales can simultaneously be checked, yes or no? If I'm checking inventory, then automatically purchase and sales can be checked. So those are called as related item. So when you are constructing an audit program, stay within the scope and limitation, make it in writing, see which evidence is reasonably available, apply only those steps that can help you in verification, mention the audit objective of each area, consider all possibilities of error, and coordinate the procedures of related items. Okay. So when you are writing this in exam, remember my gold loan example. Okay? Remember my gold loan example. Next. CA Tina, the auditor of ICAI Limited, asked its finance and audit head to prepare audit strategy for conducting audit of ICAI Limited. CA Tina also insists him to draw detailed audit procedures. In response to auditor's request, the finance head of the company completes the audit strategy as well as audit procedures. Subsequently, the auditor realizes that effectiveness of audit is compromised and it was his responsibility to prepare the overall audit strategy. Comment. What is this question asking from you? क्या चाहता है ये question आपसे? Finance head, prepare the audit strategy, create a detailed audit procedure. The finance head completes the audit strategy procedures, but realizes that effectiveness is compromised and it was his responsibility to prepare overall audit strategy. What do you think is the issue here? What do you think you have to write? Do you think Tina should tell the company to prepare audit strategy? The auditor will tell the company to prepare audit strategy. There itself is the wrong. So what is this question asking from you? That whose responsibility it is to prepare audit strategy? Is it the responsibility of the auditor or the management? Auditor. It's very simple. See, very small answer. The auditor shall establish an overall audit strategy that sets the scope, timing, and direction of the audit and helps in development of audit plan. The auditor plans what type of audit procedures they need to perform, what timing, how much work should be done. The overall audit strategy and audit plan is auditor's responsibility. It is the auditor who is responsible for establishing overall audit strategy and developing audit plan. However, the auditor may discuss the elements of planning with the management without compromising effectiveness. In the given case, CA Tina asked the finance head to prepare audit strategy. On auditor's request, they prepare it. In view of the above, Tina should prepare audit strategy and procedures. Hence, the approach of Tina is wrong. Okay? Very easy answer. Okay, next. Question number 7. Auditor of CRT Limited, a construction company, for 2023-24, You are preparing an audit program to systematically guide the audit procedures. A well-constructed audit program not only ensures effective execution, but also serves as a documentary evidence in case of any allegations of negligence. In this context, briefly explains audit advantages of audit. Again, direct question, direct answer. Very, very easy question, very, very easy answer. What do you think is the answer? Very, very easy answer. I'll show you. Advantages. Yeah. Remember it this way. I've created this small trick. Advantages of audit program. So advantages of audit program, you can divide into two parts. First is assistant. Second is advantages to partner or auditor. So what are the advantages with respect to assistant? Clear instructions, total perspective, proper selection of assistants. It reduces disadvantages of overlooking anything. What are the advantages to partner and auditor? Creates accountability, helps to control the progress properly. It is a guide for future audits, and it is an evidence that reasonable skill was applied when doing the audit. Again, how do you remember this? I call this method called as grouping method, okay? You can use in your other theory subjects also. Grouping method means when the points are scattered, you can find common link between them and group them. So these 8 points that were scattered, I grouped them into two main groups. One is assistant, one is partner. So advantages are divided for two people. Advantages for the assistant and advantages for the main auditor, that is partner. So assistant ko kya kya advantage hai? They get a clear instruction, they get a total perspective, they are selected correctly for the correct job, and it reduces any error that I will miss out on something. So reduces overlooking. What is advantages to the partner? It creates accountability, that who is responsible for what work. It helps to control the progress. Okay, today this much was completed, this much is pending. It creates a guide for future audits, and it is an evidence that properly audit job was finished. Clear? All right, so these are the advantages, very straightforward. Total instructions gives a total perspective, selection of assistants, no mental plan, so there is no danger of overlooking something. By putting their signature, you accept the responsibility, that is accountability. You can control the progress of the audit, serves as a guide for future audits, and a well-written up audit program is an evidence in case of any negligence is brought against auditor. He exercised reasonable skill. Okay, done. Next. Question number 8. In establishing overall audit strategy, the auditor shall ascertain nature, timing, and extent of resources necessary to perform the engagement. Explain those considerations in detail. So, nature, timing, and extent of resources. Again, for this also I have created a small this thing. Yeah. So, when an auditor is trying to establish what resources, how much resources are required to do an audit, which means where I have to put these resources, how many resources, which means how many people, how much hours, how amount of resources, when I have to put these resources, and how do I manage the resources. So 4 points you have to remember. So as an auditor, if I'm creating a strategy, let's say I have gotten a big audit like Tata Sons. Let's say I've gotten Tata Sons as an audit. Now, when I'm creating strategy, I have to decide about resources. Okay, in Tata Sons, I have to focus on Forex also. I have to focus on manufacturing also. I have to focus on trust money also. These are areas. What all I need? I need at least 6 months to finish the audit and I need at least 25 people team. That is how many? Then when, okay, I should start with 10 people now, then after 2 months, I'll make 10 more people go. That is when. And how do I manage? Okay, every day these people should give me a report in writing. That is how to manage. Is that clear? So if you'll see the answer here, same point is given. In establishing in nature, timing and extent of resources necessary, explain those considerations in detail. Okay. Yeah. Resources always mean time and people. So this part I explained to you. Okay. So overall audit strategy, what do we need to check? Identify the characteristics of the engagement that define its scope. Ascertain the reporting objective of the engagement to plan the timing of the audit and nature of communications required. Consider the factors that in auditor's judgment are significant in directing engagement team's effort. Consider the results of preliminary engagement activity and other engagements performed. What does this mean? So when I'm creating overall audit strategy, identify characteristics. It means if I'm doing a stock audit, I have to determine that what is the characteristic of this engagement. I have to check only stock, because of which I will be able to get my scope. So the first thing when you should do is this, identify the characteristics so that you can find what is the scope of work. Then reporting objectives, which means why you are doing the audit and for what purpose. So reporting objectives should be clear. Then factors that in auditor's judgment will help in directing engagement teams, which means if the company has for the first time applied Ind AS, then that should be my focus area. Then check the results of preliminary engagement activities. I already told you what is preliminary engagement activity. Continuance of clients, checking independence, and checking the terms of condition. And ascertain the nature, timing, and extent of resources. So that's it. This is the answer. Next question. CAD is planning an audit of a listed company. List specific documentation requirements in accordance with SA 300 in relation to planning such an audit. How such planning documentation is useful. So this is a little bit of writing skill answer. It does not have a very straightforward answer. So that is why we will study this. That planning को document करना क्यों जरूरी है? Why it is important to write down your plan. So that is why we will see this answer very specifically. So please pay attention. Little bit writing skill is needed. The documentation of the overall audit strategy is a record of key decisions considered necessary to properly plan the audit and to communicate significant matters to engagement team. Why is it important? So that I can record all the important decisions and I can communicate these important things to my engagement team. The documentation of audit plan is a record of planned nature, timing, and extent of risk assessment procedure and further audit procedure at assertion level. So if you remember, audit procedures are two types: risk assessment procedure, further audit procedures. In this, internal control verification and substantive audit procedures. In substantive audit procedures, again, there is more that I will show you in chapter number 3 and 4. So here it's talking about this, that why do we make audit plan? Why do we document it? So that we can write down our nature, timing, and extent of risk assessment procedure and further audit procedures. It also serves as a record for proper planning of audit procedures that can be reviewed and approved prior to performance. The auditor may use standard audit programs or audit checklists and tailor it as per the requirements of each engagement. So I can have a general audit program and audit strategy, and then as per each engagement, I can tailor make it and make changes in it. A record of significant changes to overall strategy and audit plan, the resulting changes in nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures, why these changes were made, and overall audit strategy finally adopted. So what all I have to document? Original plan, original strategy, any changes made, why these changes made, and final audit strategy. strategy. Everything should be documented. सिर्फ final audit strategy document नहीं कर सकते. Original audit strategy, then if you made any changes in them, why you made changes, and what was the final strategy used, everything you have to document. Okay, that's it. Next. Subodh has recently joined an audit firm as an article clerk. He was in the process of assembling audit working papers and audit file of COP Limited as per the instructions of his senior. While assembling, he noticed the following working paper. I'll show you that. The below working paper lists certain factors which are considered by auditor while establishing audit strategy. Explain how these considerations highlighted in above audit paper can help the auditor. Okay, let's see this. What is given? Audit planning was done from July 1 to July 5th. Review by EQCR, Engagement Quality Control Reviewer, July 6 to July 7. Audit fieldwork, July 10 to August. Review by manager, August 21. Review by engagement partner, August 22 to 25. Review by EQCR, August 26 to 27. Response to any audit memo, 28. Review by partners internally, 29. Review by EQCR, final review, audit, August 30. Finalization, September 1 to September 2. And issuing of audit report, September 3. So like this, they have created this plan. Okay. So he was in the process of assembling working paper file as per the instructions. He noticed the following working paper. So this working paper was there in the audit file, which means this was made during the planning. So what is the question? The below working paper lists certain factors which are considered by the auditor while establishing audit strategy. Explain the consideration highlighted in above paper. So this is a this I will consider a very difficult question. This comes in a little difficult question category. It is there in your book actually. The answer is there in your book, but the problem is connecting the question with the answer. The problem is connecting the question with the answer. So I'll show you the book and let me see how much you are able to grasp it. So you see factors to be considered by auditor for establishing audit strategy. In this, if you come to this point, ascertain the reporting objectives of engagement to plan the timing of audit and communications required, which means entities timetable for reporting, organization of meetings to discuss, discussion with management regarding type of report, discussion with management about status, nature and timing of communication required amongst the engagement team members. So you had to identify that working paper that this guy found, which had this timetable, it is from which point? It is from this point. From which topic? It is factors to be taken regarding audit strategy, in which point number 2, ascertain the reporting objectives to plan the timing and nature of communications. In that, the entity's timetable for reporting and nature of communications required amongst the team members. And that is how you reach the answer. So answer is from the book, but you have to connect the question to this answer. Do you understand why this is a little tricky question? If you would not have practiced such questions, it's very difficult that you'll get it correct in the first attempt. So that is why this kind of revision classes are very important. So see the answer. The auditor shall establish an overall audit strategy that sets the scope, timing, and direction of audit and that guides the development. One of the factors to be taken relates to ascertaining reporting objectives of engagement to plan the timing and nature of communication. Some instances are entities, this whole point is given, which I read for you. Organization of meetings, discussion with management, expected nature of communications. In the given case, the working paper highlights that auditor has taken into account expected timelines to plan the audit and nature of communications required. Since the working paper relates to statutory audit, the ascertaining of reporting objectives of the engagement helps the auditor to plan the timing of different procedures and also nature of communications. Did you see? Did you see how tricky this question is? Answer is from the book. But the trick is to connect the question to the answer. Okay? Everyone clear? Sure? Okay. Next question is, Sanjana is of the view that there are some disadvantages of audit program, but most of these can be removed by following some steps. Do you agree with her perspective? So here you have to write an answer also, and you have to give a conclusion also. So the question is direct. You have to write disadvantages. Disadvantages are clear, that it makes the work mechanical, and the audit program may be carried out without even understanding why you are doing it. The program can become rigid and inflexible. Then inefficient assistants may take shelter behind the program, saying instruction nahi tha to main kyun karu? If there is no instruction, why should I do it? And a hard and fast audit program may kill the initiative of efficient assistants. And if someone is very intelligent and very proactive and very, enterprising assistant, they will, feel like, what mechanical work am I doing? I'm just ticking whatever is given. So these advantages can be eliminated by imaginative supervision of work. Receptive attitude can be kept. Okay, receptive means, okay, if my assistant is telling that there is some problem in the audit program, can I include this extra point or can I remove this point? I should be open to hearing them. I should be open to taking suggestions of people who are actually working on ground to do the job. The assistant should be encouraged to observe matters objectively and bring matters to the notice of the supervisor. Okay. Now the last answer. EFG has appointed MN and Company as statutory auditors for 2024-25. CA and the engagement partner completed his risk assessment procedure. However, he is concerned about the management of human resources to be employed to conduct the audit. Okay, human resources. For this purpose, he wants to establish an audit strategy for setting scope, timing, and direction of audit. Describe how the process of establishment overall audit strategy will assist him in managing deployment of human resources. So which point do we have to write? That one that I told you. Where to employ, how many to employ, when to employ, and how will they be managed? Do you remember the answer I showed you? Same answer. So how to manage resources? The resources for which area we have to employ. How many amount of resources that we need to employ. Then when these resources will be deployed, interim stage, key cutoff dates, and how such resources are to be managed, directed, and supervised. That's it. Here we are done with the revision of chapter number 1 and 2. We have completed each page of the chapters. Both chapters, we have covered all the points, all the answers, everything we have covered in these 2 PPTs that I have done. Yes, these PPT will be made available to you. Any other question? Yes, I shall.
गुड इवनिंग मैम,
Good
एम आई
evening,
ऑडिबल?
Yeah.
मैम एक डाउट था, आपने जो एनओसी के बारे में बताया था क्लास में, उससे मुझे ये समझा था कि जब अगर एनओसी अपन प्रीडिसेसर ऑडिटर को मतलब देते हैं तो वो मतलब उसमें अगर मतलब वो बोलेंगे कि आप कर सकते हो तो ये अपन ऑडिट आगे करते हैं। पर अभी मैंने ऑडिट ब्रिज की क्लास देखी थी तो उसमें वो मैम ने बोला था कि मतलब आप बस आपको पूछना है, उसका मतलब वो अगर मना भी करेंगे तो भी आप कर सकते हैं, ऐसा।
वो मना करेंगे तो भी आप
तो मुझे हाँ, तो मुझे कंफ्यूजन हुआ कि कर सकते हैं कि नहीं कर सकते।
नहीं, क्योंकि अगर आप मना करते और आप करते हो ना, तो वो केस डिसिप्लिनरी केस में जा सकता है। आप कर लो, मतलब कौन रोकेगा, बट वो डिसिप्लिनरी एक्शन प्रेडिसेसर सी आपके अगेंस्ट ले सकता है, एंड बिकॉज दैट इज अ वायलेशन। समझ में आई बात?
मतलब
मैंने आपको कहा था कि आप व्हाट डज एथिक्स से, एथिक क्या बोलता है कि आपको एनओसी अक्वायर करनी है काम करने से पहले, है ना?
हाँ।
तो प्रोफेशनल एथिक्स पढ़ोगे, सीए एक्ट पढ़ोगे 1949, उसमें भी लिखा है कि आपको अक्वायर करनी है। ऐसा नहीं लिखा है कि आपको खाली भेजनी है, आपको एक्वायर करनी है, ओके, यू हैव टू ऑब्टेन,
यस मैम।
है ना, ऐसा नहीं था यू हैव टू सेंड, यू हैव टू ऑब्टेन, राइट। सो वहां पे तो क्लियर है कि आपको ऑब्टेन करना है। अब ड्यू टू एनी XYZ रीजन की दूसरे सीए जो है वो बदमाशी कर रहे हैं या अननेसेसरी उसको स्ट्रोल कर रहे हैं, आप एक्सेप्ट कर लेते हो अगर, तो प्रीवियस सीए के पास ओपन राइट रहता है टू चैलेंज यू इन ICAI फोरम फॉर डिसिप्लिनरी एक्शन।
मतलब अपन कर सकते हैं, बट उस पे फिर कुछ कम मतलब दिक्कत हो सकती है अगर अपन ने
एग्जैक्टली क्योंकि आपका हाथ तो कौन पकड़ रहा है वहां पे आकर, अब आपको मिला नहीं और आपने
हाँ।
कर दिया है, तो विच मीन्स यू आर नाउ वल्नरेबल टू एनी डिसिप्लिनरी एक्शन अगेंस्ट यू, और वो केस
ओके
वैलिड होगा।
ओके थैंक यू।
यस पूजा। आयशर एक और मैं आपको बताऊंगी पॉइंट, ये सीए फाइनल में आता है एक्चुअली, प्रोफेशनल एथिक्स अगर आप पढ़ोगे तो उसमें तो ये भी लिखा है, एक स्पेसिफिक क्लॉज है, ठीक है, उसमें ऐसा भी लिखा है कि अगर आपने NOC भेजा, ठीक है, और भेजते भेजते सपोज आपने 25 तारीख को NOC भेजा और आपने 25 तारीख को ही काम करना शुरू कर दिया, बट आपने तब तक ऑडिट रिपोर्ट नहीं रिलीज की जब तक वो NOC दे नहीं देते, ठीक है, उन्होंने 29 तारीख को NOC दी और 29-30 तारीख को ही आपने रिपोर्ट रिलीज कर दी, तो उसको भी ICAI एक्ट के अंदर डिसिप्लिनरी एक्शन के अगेंस्ट आता है कि आपने काम शुरू भी कैसे किया जब तक NOC नहीं आई। समझ रहे हो आप, रिपोर्ट नहीं रिलीज की वो तो चलो अच्छी बात है, बट आप काम शुरू भी नहीं कर सकते। ओके, यस पूजा, व्हाट्स योर क्वेश्चन?
गुड इवनिंग मैम।
गुड इवनिंग।
मैम एक्चुअली मेरा एक जनरल क्वेश्चन है कि जैसे पार्टनरशिप फॉर्म होती है तो उसके अंदर 2 पार्टनर होना कंपलसरी होता है, तो अगर हम रजिस्ट्रेशन करते हैं तो क्या एक मतलब एक पार्टनर के नाम से भी रजिस्ट्रेशन हो जाएगा या 2 की रिक्वायरमेंट होगी डॉक्यूमेंट के अंदर, मतलब रजिस्ट्रेशन डॉक्यूमेंट में?
होगा ही नहीं जब तक 2 लोग नहीं होंगे, वरना वो OPC जाएगा, 1 पर्सन कंपनी जाएगा या सोल प्रोप्राइटरशिप जाएगा। एक स्लीपिंग पार्टनर हो सकता है बट पार्टनरशिप डीड पे दोनों का साइन होना चाहिए।
मैम जैसे रजिस्ट्रेशन होता है तो रजिस्ट्रेशन में एक का मतलब एक के नाम से रजिस्ट्रेशन हो जाएगा पार्टनरशिप का या
नहीं, दोनों का, क्योंकि डीड रजिस्टर होती है बेटा, योर डीड गेट्स रजिस्टर्ड, ठीक है, और डीड पे दोनों का साइन नहीं होगा ना तब तक वो पार्टनरशिप डीड ही वैलिड नहीं है, तब तक हमारे बीच में अरेंजमेंट ही नहीं हुआ ना अगर मैंने साइन नहीं किया है तो। सपोज आप एक पार्टनर हो और मैं एक पार्टनर हूं, है ना, अगर मैं वो पार्टनरशिप डीड पे साइन नहीं करूंगी तो हमारे बीच में तो पार्टनरशिप है, इसका प्रूफ क्या है? तो 2 का साइन चाहिए।
जी मैम, मैं जैसे कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को रजिस्टर करते हैं, जैसे मतलब जैसे कंपनी होती है तो मतलब MCA में रजिस्ट्रेशन होता है, उसी तरीके से मैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के रजिस्ट्रेशन की बात कर रही हूँ मैम।
ऑथराइज सिग्नेटरी की बात कर रहे हो?
नहीं नहीं मैम, जैसे नॉर्मल जैसे पार्टनरशिप के रूप में अगर मुझे रजिस्ट्रेशन करना है अपने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का, तो उसके जो डॉक्यूमेंट होते हैं उसके अंदर 2 पार्टनर का होना जरूरी होता है ना मैम?
पार्टनरशिप डीड में 2 लोगों का होना जरूरी होता है, बट उसके बाद आप लोन ले रहे हो, रजिस्ट्रेशन कर रहे हो, तो उसमें एक बंदा जो ऑथराइज सिग्नेटरी है वो साइन करेगा तो चलेगा।
मतलब रजिस्ट्रेशन डॉक्यूमेंट में एक का भी नाम होगा तो चलेगा, ऐसा है?
पार्टनरशिप डीड होती है रजिस्ट्रेशन डॉक्यूमेंट, उसमें दोनों का साइन होना जरूरी है, बट आप उस डॉक्यूमेंट को जब रजिस्टर करवाने जाते हो, कहीं अपलोड करते हो, तो एक ऑथराइज सिग्नेटरी होगा तो चलेगा। समझ में आई बात? डीड पे दोनों का साइन होना जरूरी है पूजा, वही है मेन रजिस्ट्रेशन डॉक्यूमेंट। ऐसे समझो, LLP समझते हो आप?
यस मैम।
हाँ, LLP क्या होती है? लिमिटेड लाइबिलिटी पार्टनरशिप। 2 लोगों ने LLP बनाई, उसके लिए LLP डीड बनाई, LLP अग्रीमेंट बनाया।
पहले LLP डीड बनेगी उसके बाद रजिस्ट्रेशन
हाँ,
होगा।
अब LLP डीड बनने के बाद वो पूरा MCA के साइट पे प्रोसेस कर रहे हैं, उसको डेट ऑफ इनकॉर्पोरेशन वगैरह सब लेकर आ रहे हैं, उसमें एक ही आदमी सारे फॉर्म भर रहा है, वो चलेगा। अब समझ में आई बात? बट जो बेस डॉक्यूमेंट है, जो बेस डॉक्यूमेंट है वो दोनों का साइन होना चाहिए, ठीक है?
ठीक है, मतलब रजिस्ट्रेशन करेगा वहां पे एक आदमी, मतलब ये माना जाएगा कि एक आदमी का रजिस्ट्रेशन हुआ है, रजिस्ट्रेशन पे एक ही आदमी का सिग्नेचर भी चलेगा।
पर डीड पे 2 का होना चाहिए, पार्टनरशिप डीड पे 2 लोगों का होना चाहिए। उसके बाद आप रजिस्ट्री करवाने जा रहे हो तो एक बंदा है तो चलेगा, ठीक है।
और रजिस्ट्री के डॉक्यूमेंट में भी एक ही का नाम आएगा या दो का नाम आएगा?
एक, दोनों का नाम आएगा, पर आपके डीड में लिखा होना चाहिए कि दूसरा बंदा बोल रहा है कि मैं इस वाले को ऑथराइज करता हूँ कि ये मेरे बिहाफ पे सब डॉक्यूमेंट साइन कर सकता है।
मतलब उसमें दूसरे का भी जिक्र होना चाहिए ना मैम, जैसे
हाँ,
रजिस्ट्रेशन के
जिक्र होना
डॉक्यूमेंट।
चाहिए, हाँ।
यस मैम, यही मतलब जानना था, क्योंकि
हाँ,
एक मतलब मैंने डॉक्यूमेंट देखा था तो उसमें ना सिर्फ एक ही पर्सन का नाम था, और रजिस्ट्रेशन जो हुआ था वो पार्टनरशिप के रूप में हुआ था। तो मेरे को लगा कि इसका स्टेट मतलब इसका लीगल स्टेटस ही नहीं होगा फिर वैलिड इस हिसाब से। तो
उसका लीगल स्टेटस ही नहीं होगा। उनसे पार्टनरशिप डीड का कॉपी मंगवाओ और उसमें देखो कि किसने, पार्टनर ने दूसरे को कितनी पावर दे रखी है।
फिर मैम अगर मान लो डीड में दोनों का नाम है लेकिन रजिस्ट्री में एक ही, मतलब रजिस्ट्रेशन जो किया हुआ है उन्होंने हरियाणा से रजिस्ट्रेशन किया हुआ है, तो उसमें मतलब फिर वो वैलिड होगा या नहीं होगा? मान लो पार्टनरशिप डीड में दो का है।
ये कि एक बंदा जाकर रजिस्ट्रेशन करवाने के लिए साइन करेगा तो वो वैलिड माना जाएगा, दूसरा पार्टनर को उससे कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। तो आपको
और
डीड
मैम
पढ़ना पड़ेगा उसके लिए।
एक और चीज पूछनी थी, जो रजिस्ट्रेशन होगा उसके अंदर मतलब पार्टनरशिप डीड का कोई डॉक्यूमेंट का नंबर होगा या नहीं होगा?
हर स्टेट का अलग होता है बेटा पार्टनरशिप डीड का रजिस्ट्रेशन। जैसे सूरत में, गुजरात में अलग जगह पे जाकर आप रजिस्ट्रेशन करवा सकते हो, क्योंकि पार्टनरशिप डीड का रजिस्टर होना कंपलसरी नहीं है, बिना रजिस्ट्रेशन के भी चल सकती है वो।
तो फिर
तो हर
उसका कोई
स्टेट की अलग
रेफरेंस होगा
गाइडलाइन।
मैम रजिस्ट्रेशन डॉक्यूमेंट के अंदर? क्या डीड का रेफरेंस होना चाहिए?
हाँ जी, होना चाहिए, वो कंपलसरी है, बिना डीड के पार्टनरशिप एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती।
ओके मैम, मतलब ठीक है, उस डॉक्यूमेंट में डीड का रेफरेंस होगा, वो देखना पड़ेगा, चेक करना पड़ेगा, राइट?
हाँ
फिर
हाँ
कंफर्म। थैंक यू
हाँ
मैम।
हाँ। Anil, it's nothing. It's not related to your audit. The doubt is not related to your audit. She is just asking that in partnership deed, is partnership deeds different than partnership registration? So I said yes. Yes, partnership deed is the base document. On the basis of that, registration can be done. In partnership deed, there can be multiple partners, but during the registration, only one active partner might have gotten all the work done, and other partners may be sleeping partners. So that was the only point. Thank you, Aishal. Yes, Sumit, your doubt, please. Sumit, Sumit, you had some doubt. I have unmuted you. Anyone else? Any doubt? Anyone else? I hope you enjoyed the lecture today. I hope you have fully gotten the revision done for yourself. Sumit is not speaking. Okay, I think we can end the lecture now. Ashok ji? Hello? हाँ हाँ, मेरी तरफ से ओवर। सुमेध ने हैंड रेज किया हुआ है बट वो कुछ बोल नहीं रहे हैं, मैंने 2-3 बार ट्राई कर लिया, तो आई थिंक हम एंड कर सकते हैं क्लास। थैंक यू, गुड नाइट एवरीवन।